Hello, welcome to this update for the Survey weather and more stuff happening across spots of North America. So here we do have first this enhanced risk today in parts of Nebraska into northeastern Colorado and spots on northwestern Kansas and South Dakota. We have this light risk around it from Colorado to Minnesota and this marginal risk. We have also marginal risk in the northeast and more spots into the eastern Midwest. So be careful in those areas and more general thunderstorms possible across many areas. So the tornado threat is actually 5% across parts of Nebraska and Colorado. So be careful in those areas today. Stay safe. There's some wind threat, like 30% hatched, there's a very high probability of damaging winds, some even hurricane force, so please be careful in those areas, stay safe, and like 5-15% around it, and hail, some significant hail too from Colorado to South Dakota, might be larger than 2 inches in diameter, so be careful in those areas, and the 5% hail too. And wind, there's also this 5% in the northeast for wind, so stay safe in those areas. Scared severe storms are likely across central and to northern plains. Severe wind gusts and arch are the main threats. And isolated damaging winds also possible in parts of the lower Great Lakes, the upper Ohio Valley, into the northeast. So stay safe in those areas. Across the central high plains to the northern plains, a lower plateau to mid-level trough and a relate about 40 to 50 knot mid-level westerly, so track eastward across the northern plains during the day. At the same time, a cold front extending southward from the northern plains to the central high plains will move eastward during the afternoon. Thunderstorms are expected to be in the intersection of a cold front and a least surface trough over the central high plains during the afternoon, and aided by peripheral large-scale ascent accompanying mid-level trough. So ahead of the evolving storms, a corridor of steep mid-level lapse rates and strong surface-based buoyancy and 40 to 50 knot effective shear will promote supercells in organized clusters. Large to very large hail and severe wind gusts are possible in the initial storms. Current indications are that the activity will organize into one or more organized clusters, reducing swaths of damaging winds and some 75 mile per hour plus, given steep deep layer lapse rates, lingering surface boundaries, and sufficient holograph curvature. A couple of tornadoes are also possible. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful and more stuff here. So stay safe, especially this afternoon. Have some ways to receive warnings there. So this is about the afternoon, shows those mid-level lapse rates across Nebraska to northeastern Colorado, close to like 8.7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So this is very high in those areas, so be careful. The the Cape is around like the mixed layer Cape, those areas. It does show across Nebraska, especially 2,000 joules per kilogram, more spots in Nebraska, especially this section, western Nebraska, where those storms will fire. There's the surface-based Cape as well, is also important. So shows across northeastern Colorado into Nebraska, even to 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, close to 3,000 in a few spots. So that plus those steep mid-level lapse rates might be concerning for those storms. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. At the same time, does show across those areas some shear across 0 to 6 kilometers into northeastern Colorado, but especially into Nebraska, even to 57 knots later in the evening by 0 Z, does kind of increase to 60 knots. So those support those the organized clusters. And by this time in the evening, still shows some lapse rates across Nebraska. So stay safe in those areas, be careful. Here shows a storm or two going on this morning, Kansas, Oklahoma. This goes, but later there's a few storms South Dakota a little bit earlier in the afternoon before the main thing starts. And then later shows into Colorado. They start in Colorado and later go into Nebraska. So those initial cells might be very strong. Then Tuesday, like during the evening to the night, still shows into northwestern Kansas, into Nebraska, some stronger clusters there. And then this goes, and this other cluster in South Dakota into the Nebraska and Iowa. So be careful. And another one in Texas, a storm or two there. So be aware. And then Tuesday still shows a storm or two in a few areas. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. We do have this afternoon, like some areas in Nebraska, close to some 50s, 60s dew points in some areas, not quite 70s, but they're in the 60s in some areas. So be aware, closer to high 50s to 60s. But yeah, so stay safe. The show the max wingers and the show across sanctuaries here, especially like to Nebraska and Kansas, the are showing some very strong winds in those storms, especially like some areas to 70 to 80 mile per gust, right into Nebraska, northwestern Kansas, and Colorado. So the show here, like especially some areas even might get 285 mile per gust in a few storms, but mainly 73 mile per gust. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. And here for tomorrow, they should does show just a marginal risk for Tuesday. Those areas across the central high plains to the spots of the central plains into the Midwest and further on the East Coast. So be careful that there's still some 5% wind tomorrow and some hail in the high plains. So be aware and less than 2% tornado threat. So a few strong storms scale of isolated damaging gusts possible from the northern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley and from the Carolinas into the northeast tomorrow, Tuesday. So be aware, those areas Tuesday. Day 3 is a marginal to some spots in the northern plains and the east coast. So at least isolated severe storms are in the northern plains. And on Wednesday with large hail, the main threat, and instances of large hail cannot be ruled out. So isolated damaging gusts are possible across the eastern west. So be careful in those areas. And day four is kind of interesting. So here we have a slight risk rate for day four, 15%, big part of the northern plains from Nebraska to North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. So be aware, we have to watch Thursday very close. The rest is quiet, but we have to watch Thursday. So let's see. The first series of mid-level troughs will eject into the northern plains on day 4 Thursday, encouraging surface late troughing across the central northern plains dew points into the 70s Fahrenheit beneath some 8 plus Celsius per kilometer mid-level lapse rate to support strong to locally extreme instability by afternoon peak heating. The ejection of the upper trough will provide enough upper support for scattered thunderstorms around to increase in westerly flow height will result in straight, elongated holographs. Supercells should be in the main mode of convection, at least initially, with severe wind and hail the primary threats. So be careful in those areas Thursday. We still might see a thing or two into Friday. But yeah, be careful. There's still some dry thunderstorms along Washington, Washington into Oregon and California today, so be aware. Very isolated, but possible. And still some dry thunderstorms in Washington for Tuesday and some elevated fire threats into the Great Basin in Washington, Oregon, so be aware. Later, still nothing. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful here for those storms. Just see if the her has something else interesting. So shows like today's Monday shows those storms in the northeast this afternoon, a thing or two in Ohio, in those areas Tuesday, not Tuesday, this still this evening. And the show, I checked the site for Canada, they still don't have any forecast, but we do have some rain in Canada and a few storms now as well. So be aware this afternoon, Quebec and New Brunswick still. So still be aware. Shows spots of Saskatchewan, still storm or two, and later this evening, southernmost Manitoba, a thing or two. So be careful those areas. This goes and like yeah. So stay safe. By Tuesday evening tomorrow, there's show some scattered storms in the mid-south and the Midwest, the her. So be aware. Now, the European model does show still those storms, southern Ontario and Quebec today. Be aware, and to New Brunswick, even a storm or two in Nova Scotia and Western Ontario. So be aware. And then the show on the west, still a front in the Pacific, in Alaska, in British Columbia, some rain, and a storm or two along central western Canada. So yeah, be aware. Then this goes and like shows still. This is right by next Wednesday night. Shows even some snow northern Alaska there into Yukon. But Thursday this goes and those storms starts. They should affect a big portion of central Canada too Thursday. So be aware. We'll keep watching this. And talking about severe weather, in case you're watching this from Europe, there's still those level 2s there today, Central to Eastern Europe. So be careful in those areas. We talked about it in the video yesterday. So here, there's still tropical depression Chantal across North Carolina, Virginia, and it dumped some very heavy rain. There's some rivers at major flood stage right now across North Carolina. So please be careful with flooding if you are still there. So be careful. Flash flood concerns continue across parts central, south central, and eastern Virginia, southern eastern Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, into southwest Pennsylvania. Last day scare flash flooding, particularly within the urbanized areas. Life-threatening surf and rip currents are expected to continue along the beach, along the U.S. East Coast and northeastern Florida, Mid-Atlantic states during the next day or so. So beachgoers should heed the advice of lifeguards, local officials. So be careful in those areas and still like those dangerous rip currents here. So stay safe. There are the key messages in Spanish as well if you want. And just please be careful of the flooding that's still happening across North Carolina. Be careful in those areas. And yeah, and here this is a very wild thing because the remnants of the system might track as far east as Europe, the remnants of this. So that's very crazy. And yeah, this is even crazier. This shows Europe and it curves back, but it's not important for us, but just interesting to see. So be careful. Those areas still shows there around those areas, especially like across Maryland to Virginia. The European model still shows like some 4 inches in some areas and 3 inches. So stay safe. And even next 5 days in South Dakota is showing some 4 inches more areas. So be careful. Those areas shows across southeastern Canada as well, close to 60 to 70 millimeters. The south is doing better across Mexico. Still to 92 millimeters west of Mexico next 5 days, so still be careful along southern Mexico 90, and but Nicaragua is doing better. Costa Rica, but still some scared showers and storms to be careful. So be careful of those showers and storms, and always with thunderstorms, there's possibility of isolated flooding. So make sure to be aware. It shows the Bahamas, some are shower activity to 56 millimeters. Cuba, those storms, spots of Puerto Rico, shower 2, and those tropical waves, southern, southeastern Caribbean. So still be careful. Some passing showers and storms, and like afternoon storm or 2 in more areas. Just be aware, nothing too crazy, but be careful. The GFS is similar thing, but a little bit more southern Trinidad and Tobago and Nicaragua. The GFS still has more Nicaragua, spots of western Mexico to more than 100. So beware, the icons still showing in the coast of Nicaragua more. So stay safe, and that there are some strong tropical waves lost in the Eastern Atlantic there, but nothing concerning yet. But something interesting that's still happening is in the Pacific because we have like this area now, disturbance one, and it did become more disorganized. It didn't quite manage to form. So disorganized showers, thunderstorms, social area low pressure, okay, 700 miles southwest of the southern tip of Baja California Peninsula continue this morning. Some additional developments possible today, but the system is quickly running out of time as it moves west, northwest, into a more stable environment, drier, mid-level air, and progressive cooler water is expected by tonight. So this might not end up forming, but there's this area is already 20% in the next 7 days. Disturbance too. So we'll keep watching the Pacific. The Atlantic's still quiet except for Chantal. The rest is still kind of quiet. So be careful in those areas, like especially with heavy rains and everything. And here does show like some outlooks, still some above average temperatures, most areas, day 6 through 10, and later a tiny area of below average, day 8 through 14, but mostly above. And shows here like still some below average precipitation, the Great Basin, but more spots in the east, southeast, northwest, slightly above day 8 through 14, still in the south, kind of above average, some areas below. So stay safe in those areas. Still shows those temperatures, the southwest 110, still very hot. Be careful. Those areas, some 90s and 80s across the south, some 90s the southeast. So be careful across the west, those 90s. So stay safe. Shows here some 70s across the south, more spots during the night, even some 80s during the night in Arizona. So be careful. But during the day, on Tuesday, shows 101 in Washington, more 90s than tier west. 112 in Arizona, even maybe 113 in a few spots. So stay safe in those areas. Tuesday, Tuesday morning does show some 87 during the night, tomorrow morning, so that's very hot. Stay safe. Wednesday afternoon shows to 100 in Montana, some 90s there in the plains, to 100 spots the high plains, some 90s the southeast, some 80s, 90s spots in the northwest still. And right here, it does show in the southwest to 118 degrees between California and Arizona. Might be one of the hottest days so far. 118, that's not even the Death Valley. There might be more than 120. 116 in Phoenix. So you got to seriously prepare for Wednesday afternoon. And then here, going back here, there's for Wednesday morning shows 90 during the night, so like that's extremely hot nighttime temperature. Please stay safe. Thursday does get better, but still to 114 in the southwest, so 90 is close to 100. From Thursday morning, still some 87 during the night, but some 40s in the Rockies, slightly less hot. But it does show here like some 100s during the day, still to 112 in a few spots in Arizona by Thursday afternoon. So let's see here. Wait. So shows some 90s in the south. Texas is quite hot by Friday as well. So 90s. So this is Friday afternoon, not Thursday. So let's see here. Friday mornings, some forest in the Rockies, still some is there in the southwest. And next Saturday morning does show like into Saturday afternoon to 111 there in the southwest, some 90s in the interior still, and as far north as Washington, some 90s the southeast. So stay safe during the night, slightly better further north, but still hot in the south. So be aware. Day 7 still shows next Sunday afternoon 112 to 110 the southwest, some 90s to 100. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. And still shows here across Canada. During the night, it's quite mild, but does increase during the day some 20s, even further northwest. Some areas, southeastern Canada, still warmer. So Mondays still shows, does increase by tomorrow afternoon, Tuesday, and very warm central Canada. Not hot, but like warm. For some, might be kind of hot, especially late late afternoon Tuesday to 32 in the southwest. So this goes Wednesday. Does get colder in northern Alaska and Yukon to like -1 or something, some 20s Fahrenheit in northern Alaska. So be careful. Those areas Wednesday, Thursday, still very warm to hot central Canada by Thursday afternoon. And that's right ahead of that cold front, the severe weather. So be careful, the temperatures plus the storms. So Thursday, this goes. Friday, warmer further into eastern Canada, and then this goes and still kind of below average are in the northwest. So be aware, those areas that show some stronger wind gusts, like periodically, sometimes into northwestern Canada next Saturday. Friday still shows across Yukon and northwestern territory, especially like into Nunavut on the 11th Friday. Then that show northernmost Quebec, some gusts or two, slightly breezy, a few spots in the Rockies by Thursday the 10th. Wednesday does show very strong winds, like mm, on July 9th across British Columbia into Alberta, some higher gusts into northern Montana as well, around some 9 around some 42 mile per gusts in a few spots, and still shows Wednesday, this Wednesday during the day. So Tuesday still shows slightly breezy in a few spots in the Rockies, but especially there in Canada, some higher gusts. And then today, Monday, shows nothing too crazy, maybe northeastern Canada, slightly more wind, but in Hawaii, it's slightly breezy as well, as those winds go right in between the islands. So be aware, those areas this goes, whereas miles per hour and 30s for mile per gusts. So be aware, those areas still shows like not really snow, but far north there, like let's see, next 5 days, does show snow northern Canada. It's some 26 centimeters in the Arctic, shows a lot in the archipelago there, in Greenland as well, but shows like in northern British Columbia to 17 centimeters, into Alaska some as well, like the European models to 4 inches of snow, spots of Alaska, and even a finger or two in the Rockies. So be aware, those areas, stay safe. So stay safe. That's severe weather, those storms, and the flooding as well in North Carolina. And hope you're recovering in Texas. Please be careful. Stay safe. The image of the day is this cool lenticular cloud I saw in 2023. So yeah, stay safe.